Hello, good evening, and you're welcome to Joe Daily Brief. Today, we are giving you updates on the various matters, various issues that happened that was yesterday, yeah. So, if you would recall, it is someone who just shot two National Guard men or two National Guard members just closer or just near to the White House. And this happened yesterday. So they were very in critical condition. Today, what happened was we got an update from the FBI, from the mayor himself, and also from some of the members of the media. Had the opportunity of asking questions so that at least we could get more information with regards to what happened yesterday. Who is the suspect? Where is he from? Is it true that he's from Afghanistan? So today, what we want to do is we want to go through all those issues, and what we will bring you some snippets of President Trump has spoken today. He has given an update on one of the National Guard members, who is in the person of Sarah Beckstrom, and we understand, unfortunately, she couldn't make it. And this afternoon, we had an information that she's passed on. So we'll get an update from that as well. After that, we will get to know who is the suspect, where is he from, and when did he enter the United States of America. So that is what we'll be doing today. And my name is Wale Diabua. Welcome to this channel, and don't forget to subscribe so that at least when there's information or there's any summary of whatever happens today, you also get it. Because here what we do is because nobody, or like, we can't all get access or we can't all get information, so we try to give you summary of what happened during the day so that at least you could get informed from whatever has happened around the world. So today we are doing the National Guard members who were shot yesterday. The first, what we need to do is first read through some of the stories, some of the news making headlines this evening. Our first headline is National Guard member Sarah Beckstrom dies after DC shooting. That was yesterday. That's what happened. So one of the two National Guard members shot in what authorities describe as targeted ambush near the White House has died. President Trump announced on today. Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the Guard's men that we are talking about, highly respected, young, magnificent person, started service in June of 2023. Outstanding in every way. She just passed away, Trump said in Thanksgiving call to service members from Palm Beach in Florida. She just passed away. She's no longer with us. Trump continued. She's looking down at us right now. And that is what, this is a quote from the president himself. So this is what he told us. So the other Guard member who is in the person of Andrew Roof, the other National Guard member who was shot near the White House, remained in critical condition, and he's fighting for his life and was in very bad shape, according to the president. The troops were part of high visibility patrol about 2 blocks from the White House when the shooting occurred, authorities said. The suspect was identified as Rahmanullah, who is from Afghanistan, and he is also like about 29 years old. So that is the suspect we know for now. Again, the suspect motive has not been determined yet. He was shot by a nearby National Guard member and remained hospitalized in serious condition as of Thursday, according to authorities. So this is what we got, and that was in the afternoon. After that, we also got an update from authorities. So the FBI director and also the mayor herself and also some members of the government also came out to give us a bit of an update. So what we will do is I want to get to know the updates they gave us about some couple of minutes before we continue. So let's listen to this update that the authorities gave us during the shooting incident that happened yesterday. So unfortunately, I understand our audience can't hear what the FBI director is saying or the attorney general is saying. So what I want to do is quick do this correction or do this quick technical review so that everybody can hear what the FBI director is saying. Let me do this quick one from the, and I am sure from here we could all let me see. Let's see.
That occurred on two brave members of the West Virginia National Guard as they served in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, today, as most families join together to give thanks for the blessings that have been bestowed upon them, two families are shattered and destroyed and torn apart as a result of the actions of one man. First and foremost, our hearts go out to the victims and their families. These are dedicated service members who were performing their duties in service to our nation, and they are currently in critical condition. They have undergone surgery. We pray for their well being as they continue to be cared for in the best possible way. We have been in constant contact with their families and have provided them with every resource needed during this difficult time. The two National Guards men that we're talking about are Sarah Beckstrom, who's 20 years old, and Andrew Wolf, who is 24 years old. They were uniformed members of the West Virginia National Guard, and they were in D.C. to keep D.C. safe, pursuant to President Trump's executive order to make D.C. safe and beautiful. They answered the call, they took the charge, they volunteered, they put their lives on the line for people they don't even know. And that, unfortunately, is becoming a reality more and more for the members of law enforcement. Yesterday on Thanksgiving Eve at approximately 2:15, near 17th and I Streets in the northwest section of the district, near the Farragut West Metro Station, two uniformed guardsmen were ambushed in a brazen and targeted attack. A lone gunman opened fire without provocation, ambush style, armed with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. One guardsman is struck, goes down, and then the shooter leans over and strikes the guardsman again. Another guardsman is struck several times. Fellow guardsmen who were there responded immediately, engaging the suspect, neutralizing the threat, and subduing him at the scene. He was transported to a local hospital where he remains, as we speak, under heavy guard. Thanks to the swift and coordinated response of the National Guard and the Metropolitan Police Department, no additional victims were harmed, and the scene was secured within minutes. The suspect, he has been identified as Ramanullah Lakanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan who entered the United States under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome, a program following the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. He resided in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and, we believe, 5 children. And we're working very closely with our federal partners, especially DHS and the FBI, to review his immigration history and the vetting process itself. What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital. As we stand here today, the charges that are appropriate right now are 3 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed, a violation of DC Code 22-401 and DC Code 22-4502. He will also be charged with possession of a firearm during a crime of violence. He faces 15 years under the assault with the intent to kill. We intend to continue monitoring what the charges will be depending upon the well-being of the guardsmen. We are praying that they survive and that the highest charge will not have to be murder in the first degree. But make no mistake, if they do not, that will certainly be the charge, murder in the first degree. The Department of Justice, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, is committed to a thorough and an impartial investigation where we will hold this perpetrator accountable under the full weight of the law. Now, Sarah and Andrew volunteered. They came here to protect the people of the district, pursuant to a crime emergency that President Trump rightly declared in this city and in other cities across the country. Our nation's capital should not and must not be a place where evil comes to commit violence, whatever their cause or motive may be. We should not have to live in fear in the nation's capital, especially by one who came here from a foreign country. And through a process that was so absurd that he came through and released into this country, as many were, knowing virtually nothing about his vetting. This is what happens in this country when people are allowed in who are not properly vetted. These guardsmen and all who are here to protect the district are the line that separates a civilized society from a barbaric one. They are the ones who stand for law and order. This was not just an attack, it was a direct challenge to law and order in our nation's capital. And the individual will be made fully accountable. And though it seems that we have been here before under President Trump, make no mistake, and the Attorney General, we will not allow this to be normalized. It will be.
So that was the attorney in Washington. Now, let's see if we can get FBI Director Kash Patel, who also gave us her side of the story.
For our fallen soldiers, prayer for our law enforcement community, prayer for our National Guardsmen and women, prayer for our brave prosecutors at the Department of Justice and the offices of the D.C. United States Attorney. We must come together as a nation, especially on this Thanksgiving Day, and remember the sacrifices that so many are making around the world and around this country to secure our freedoms under President Trump's brilliant leadership and administration. I'll provide an update on the case as follows. It is an ongoing investigation of terrorism. Make no mistake about it. The FBI is leading out on this federal assault on a federal law enforcement officer investigation on many fronts. We immediately, with our law enforcement partners in the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, secured the scene, seized the weapon, sent in our evidence response team immediately to collect evidence and started doing block-by-block canvasses. We are looking for and interviewing witnesses. The firearm and other materials have been sent to our Quantico laboratory already yesterday for immediate analysis. That work is ongoing. Partnering with the D.C. United States Attorney's Office, we have also executed multiple search warrants around the country to include the subject's last known residence, which is in the state of Washington. The search warrant was executed on that house last night or early this morning, and it is an ongoing process. All the individuals found in the house have been interviewed, and some interviews remain ongoing. We will not stop until we interview anyone and everyone associated with the subject, the house, and every piece of his life. There's also subject interviews, relations conducted in San Diego, pursuant to our ongoing investigation. So, as the judge noted, this is a coast-to-coast investigation being led right here in Washington, D.C. And this subject definitely did pick the wrong country. And we will rise together as a nation to show the world what we do here. And we are thankful that we have the Attorney General's brave leadership and President Trump's brave leadership and priorities to safeguard our communities. I also spoke to Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, last night, and Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. That is what a broad-based international terrorism investigation looks like. We will provide continuous details to the American public while at the same time not jeopardizing the ongoing prosecution to ultimately hold this perpetrator accountable in our courts of law. We will provide as much transparency as possible, but as you can see, the breadth and scope of this investigation will continue. We will continue to hit the streets and hit every town and every house and talk to every witness. Men and women of the FBI and the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, to include the Department of Homeland Security, DEA, and ATF, are working tirelessly on this Thanksgiving Day. And I know just by talking to the leaders behind me that instead of going on and being with their families, everyone rogered up and showed up to work today. And none of them want to go home. That's the resolve that we have together as a team to bring to you justice for this heinous act of terrorism here in our nation's capital. And as the judge said, we will ensure that our law enforcement partners are out there in full force to make sure the world can enjoy our nation's capital. We will not let this heinous act of violence prevent people from visiting our beautiful nation's capital. And we will also continue to highlight any evidence that we can publicly. And as the judge said, this individual is in this country for one reason and one reason alone, because of the disastrous withdrawal from the Biden administration and the failure to vet anyway, in any way, shape, or form, this individual and countless others. And this administration has taken the rightful step to stop any further allowance of people with this similar background into the country. And we're thankful for that. And as I said, this investigation remains ongoing. And I think I'll turn it over to General Blanchard of the National Guard now. Thank you.
So we got to listen to the National Guard General, who is also coming to give us a bit of history and also background to this issue. So let's take a listen to him. After that, we will also listen to the Sheriff Commander himself and also the Mayor.
All across America this morning, families are waking up. They'll spend the day with their children, their brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, friends from across the community. There will be the smell of turkey, all the fixings. They'll watch parades, football games. They'll pray together. They'll talk about what they're grateful for. This morning, there are two families that will not have that opportunity. Andy and Sarah's families, they're spending the day reflecting on the past. And in the days coming, they'll reflect on and think about what could have been, what might be. Because regardless of the outcome, we know that their lives, their families' lives are all changed forever. Because one person decided to do this horrific and evil thing. And all across America, we are also reminded that there are many law enforcement agents, first responders, soldiers, service members all around the world who at best will come home, eat some cold turkey, open up Tupperware, eat what's left over, because they spent the day defending the American ideals, getting out there and getting after it on every American citizen's behalf. I will say that the District of Columbia National Guard, this task force, is more committed this morning to the President's directive to make D.C. safe and beautiful. Our resolve will be tested. It is being tested, but make no mistake, each and every one of these soldiers and airmen will meet and exceed the expectation that we have for them. They are, in fact, America's best. I'm proud of each and every one of them. I pray for each and every one of them today, and in particular, for these two young service members who are willing to go above and beyond and pay whatever price our nation asks of them. I ask every American today to keep them in their thoughts and prayers as you go about your day Thank you.
Thank you, General. Mayor, First Mayor Bowser. Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I want to associate myself with the remarks of our Adjutant General from the D.C. National Guard. I want to be very clear what the judge and everyone has reported here. Somebody drove across the country, came to Washington, D.C. to attack America. And that person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These young people should be at home in West Virginia with their families.
Okay. I also want to say that both Sarah and Andrew, I believe, were sworn in less than 24 hours before they were shot on the street in Washington. Any questions? You know, as the directors indicated, this is a fluid investigation. People are working around the clock. It's too soon to say what the motive is, but there are definitely areas that we're looking into, but not ready to say.
A little bit about how the assailant was taken down after he opened fire.
Yeah, he got shot by another guardsman, yeah.
You mentioned earlier he had the shooter had initially shot one of the guardsmen, then leaned over as they were on.
Shot.
So that is the press conference earlier this morning before the president came out to give a different side of it. So what do you do is we go straight to what the president also said. The president himself, President Donald Trump. So what he did was to meet some of the security personnel, also some of the soldiers. And that is when he also had a story to say about what really happened to Sarah. So we will first take a listen to the president when he was giving an update on what really has happened.
This is what it looked like when they came in. It was total bedlam. Do you remember that period of time? Total bedlam. People crammed onto the plane. And the toughest, meanest, most capable physically got on the plane. Not the people that we were looking for or that they wanted to bring in. Here's a picture for you. Just take a look at that plane. Standing on top of each other and sitting on top of each other. This is what we had under the Biden administration. That whole thing should have never, ever happened. They should have left from a different base. They should have left from Bagram, as you know, and it would have been a much different story. But they didn't do that, and this was just a rout, just a terrible situation. This heinous atrocity reminds us that we have no greater national security priority than ensuring that we have full control over the people that enter and remain in our country. For the most part, we don't want them. They come in illegally, have a lot of problems. Their countries force them in because their countries are smart. They don't want them. Let's give them to the Americans to take care of. They come out of jails in many cases, mental institutions, they're gang members, they're drug dealers. We don't want them. Many of the service members on this call today are engaged in crucial aspects of that mission. And to each and every one of you, I just want to thank you so much. Incredible people. You make this sacrifice like few others understand. A lot of them don't even understand it. And you're keeping America safe and free. Our military is strong. My first term, I rebuilt our military, all aspects of our military. And in Afghanistan, we actually gave up a big chunk, but relatively, as much as it seemed like it's small compared to what we bought and to what we have and to what we're buying. We're spending over $1 trillion this year on our military. We have a military, the best in the world. We make the best equipment in the world. And we have the best people in the world. So joining us this evening are 6 units deployed across our hemisphere, representing every branch of the United States Armed Forces. First, I want to thank the members of Army's legendary 101st Airborne Division. You know, I've heard about that since I was a little boy. The Screaming Eagles, calling in from Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and you're led by Major General David Gardner, a real tough cookie and great general. I appreciate it, General Gardner. The 101st has done an outstanding job leading the task force, joint task force at our southern border. I mean, we have nobody coming in. They're not coming in. Under Biden, they were coming in by the millions. Now we have nobody coming in. We have a strong border. Nobody talks about it anymore. I'm not giving credit for anything, just like you guys are not giving credit for anything. We do the greatest job, but that's all right. They don't talk about the border anymore because you know why? Nobody comes in. We had 9 months now where we had nobody coming in, zero. And this is being fed. This is the people that do this they tend to be on the left. They'd love to say millions of people came in through Trump, and they actually said nobody came. Even I find that hard to believe, but they literally are saying nobody came in. And I hope people appreciate the job that you've done and the job that we've all done. But we're stopping the invasion of our country. We stopped it cold. And if you remember, Biden said, I need new legislation. You didn't need legislation. I didn't get legislation. What you needed was the new president. So with your help, we now have the most secure border in American history. It's the single most secure border in American history. So I just want to thank you. And the 101st, I want to thank you very much. The job you've done is amazing, working with all of our great people. We also have the men and women of the U.S. Navy serving as part of the Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group under Captain Christopher Farraker. And they're on board the USS Iwo Jima in the Caribbean Sea, working right by their side, are members of the 22nd Marine Expedition.
So this was the President Donald Trump when he was giving an update on Sarah Beckstrom, who was part of 2 guardmen who was shot yesterday. So that was it. So what we will do after this is just look at who is the suspect. What do we know about the suspect himself, who has been identified as an Afghan, who is from Afghanistan, and he entered the States some years back. So you want to go through some of the history, some of his background. So let's see if you could at least get a little bit of it. Then we join our partners from CBS for a better more of it. But first, this is it. Maybe what we go through is we go through some of what we know about the shooter himself. Right? You will see if if maybe we can get that, that will be helpful. So, but first, let's get to know who are the victims of this shooting. So we know, first one is Andrew Wolf. The second one is Sarah Beckstrom. So we will get to know them. Now, the 2 National Guard members shot in targeted ambush shooting Wednesday afternoon, just blocks from the White House, were identified as Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf. They are both from West Virginia National Guard. Jenian Piero, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, said on Thursday night. Beckstrom and Wolf were serving on the D.C. Safe and Beautiful mission when they were shot around 2:15 p.m. yesterday. The shooting occurred less than 24 hours after they were deputized to maintain their status conduct. So it was like 24 hours when they were just sworn in. So this is very serious. The lady, which is in the person of Sarah, was like 20 years, and the guy Andrew Wolf like 24, which like very young guys, very 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 young guys. And sometimes you don't really understand what is happening, what will come to someone and just get a shot. So Wolf, 24, who is from West Virginia, entered the service on February 5th, 2019. The Joint Task Force release states he is a U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant assigned to the Force Support Squadron, 167th Airlift Wing, and U.S. Army Specialist. Beckstrom, a Webster Springs, West Virginia, entered the service on the June 26, 2023. She is assigned to the 863rd or 863rd Military Police Company and the 111th Engineer Brigade. So this is what we know about them. Maybe what we'll do is get to know who the person himself is, so that at least we could be able to tell who this person is. Now let's join our partners to also learn more about who this person is, because for us to get to know much of it, we'll be very grateful. So our reporter from CBS, our partners, will also give us more of details or information from this as well. So let's get to know.
Yeah, Tom, incredibly heartbreaking news. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom from West Virginia. She was just 20 years old. The president just moments ago in his remarks announcing that after spending over 24 hours in critical condition at a D.C. area hospital, she has in fact passed away after sustaining multiple gunshot injuries during that horrific shooting in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. The president saying that, unfortunately, I can tell you just seconds before I went on right now, I heard Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia. He called her highly respected, a young, magnificent person, that she's no longer with us. Now, she began her service in the West Virginia National Guard in June of 2023. And she had been deployed in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital for just a few months, back in August when the White House first announced its task force on crime here in Washington. She was deployed on orders from West Virginia to Washington, D.C., and she had been here ever since. Now, we are told that she was deputized and sworn in yet again just a day before this tragedy happened here. We know that her father told the New York Times that he had been holding her hand in the hospital and that she had suffered a mortal wound. She was surrounded by family and friends who all crowded around her in her hospital room and also in the hallway outside of the hospital. And several, including West Virginia's governor, who addressed the National Guardsmen in D.C. today, described that scene in the hospital as being tragic, but also very busy, that there were lots of people moving in and out of the hospital earlier today. As for the investigation itself, Tom, we have learned a whole bunch today about the suspect behind all of this, 29-year-old Rahmanullah Lochinwal, who the FBI is now poring over his digital fingerprint, trying to figure out exactly what his motive was behind this. We know that they executed multiple search warrants in what they are calling a coast-to-coast investigation. Investigators determining that he drove miles from western Washington state to northwestern Washington, D.C. in the run-up to this shooting with a loaded revolver. And after executing those search warrants, investigators have pulled digital devices like phones, laptops, and iPads from his residence in Bellingham, Washington state. And they're now probing connections that he had both there in Washington, but also in California, in San Diego, according to the FBI Director Kash Patel, as well as overseas. So a lot there, but just absolute tragic news that we just got on Thanksgiving Day as families gathered in the hospital around these two National Guard members, the hospital beds of both 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom and 24-year-old Andrew Wolf, and we now know that one has passed away.
Yeah, such a tragic development in a very tragic story. You know, Nicole, I want to zoom out for a second. Trump administration vowed sweeping re-examinations of immigrants from 19 nations of concern after the suspect was identified. What are some of the larger implications here? What are some of the policy changes or moves that this administration could make, to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, Tom, just a reality check for our viewers, the Trump administration did make this announcement today that it would be re-examining green card holders from 19 countries that mirror Trump's travel ban 2.0. But there had been a previous announcement by the administration that they were already planning to do this a couple of weeks ago. Now, we have heard from members of the Trump administration who point to a program that allowed Afghan evacuees to enter into the United States in September of 2021. A lot of finger pointing around what's known as Operation Allies Welcome. And CIA Director Radcliffe said the alleged shooter traveled to the U.S. in September of 2021, his ticket in part due to that program, but also powered by Operation Allies Welcome and his work with the intelligence agency as a member of a partner force in Afghanistan. But just to get people up to speed on what the vetting looked like as part of that program, a Justice Department Inspector General audit found of the nearly 90,000 evacuees that fled to the United States, ultimately the FBI flagged just 231 individuals through watch list screening, including 55 who entered the U.S. before being identified. So it is still a very small subset of this population of Afghan evacuees who were identified as being on the federal government's radar before entry when you consider just how many fled in the aftermath of the U.S. evacuation of Afghanistan to the United States. And there's now a lot of concern among immigration advocates and advocates for this particularly vulnerable community, because not only has the president announced that he will be looking into the green card holders from these 19 nations, but he has also paused all immigration application processing of Afghan nationals, also looking to reevaluate a number of those granted asylum under the Biden administration. And so there is concern among advocates that I've been speaking to today that this one individual, this one absolutely abhorrent tragedy that played out in the nation's capital on Wednesday is going to hurt what is already a very vulnerable community within the United States, Tom.
You know, one of the points I find interesting, the president referring to this as an act of terrorism. Obviously, it takes a whole lot of determination for an individual to drive across the country and carry out this act. Experts I've spoken to say that perhaps it wasn't an issue with the vetting process, but possibly some sort of radicalization here in the United States after the suspect had already come here. As we turn to the investigation, Nicole, what could investigators be parsing through specifically when it comes to that online footprint that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom, I think you hit the nail on the head there in speaking with experts. They are concerned right now and really zeroing in the big question: what, if any, domestic radicalization occurred in the case of this suspect? What sort of flipped that switch and enabled him to drive thousands of miles across the country with a loaded firearm to carry out what investigators are calling, and they're not mincing words here, a targeted ambush against National Guard personnel? And so as part of this digital and forensic fingerprint, they're going to be poring over all of the digital devices that we mentioned earlier that were retrieved from the alleged gunman's home: his laptop, his iPad, his phones. We know that there were devices also seized from his person at the time of his arrest, just moments after the shooting occurred. And they're going to be looking for any connections there. They're going to be looking to see if he was possibly directed by anyone foreign or otherwise, if he was inspired by any radical messages online. Was he reading anything from ISIS or Al-Qaeda? Now, I should point out, in speaking with Homeland Security and justice sources here in Washington, D.C., at this point, there's no indication that he worked in coordination with anyone else. He appears to be what we often refer to as a lone wolf or a lone actor as of yet. But one of the running theories is that the suspect here was struggling with mental health and, in fact, had been suffering from paranoia and thought that U.S. officials, U.S. authorities were seeking to deport him. Now, that is not the reality here. He was granted asylum earlier this year and had been applying for his green card. But also some concerns here, Tom, as investigators look into possible radicalization, that he could have suffered perhaps from PTSD, especially in light of what we consider was his experience working overseas in close proximity to U.S. forces and as a partner to the CIA.
I think that's what a lot of people, Nicole, are probably somewhat surprised about when they hear about the background of the suspect. working closely with the CIA, fighting against the Taliban, and then potentially turning on U.S. troops after coming stateside. What more can you tell us about the suspect and his time overseas?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we know that the suspect came to the United States first in 2021, but he had spent time working with both U.S. Special Forces as well as British Special Forces, and he was part of a very elite group of individuals that worked sometimes in clandestine operations with U.S. forces and U.S. intelligence analysts overseas during the war in Afghanistan, Tom. And I think you bring up a really important point here, which is that many immigration experts have pointed out to me that this individual was among the most vetted to have come to the United States, and certainly would have also experienced a level of screening and vetting that some asylum seekers simply don't, by virtue of his work with the U.S. government and specifically with the CIA, which really begs the question, what, if any, information could there have been, derogatory information for the U.S. government to prevent this individual from entering into the United States? Because certainly someone with his experience, who had put his life on the line for the United States, likely would have had a pretty smooth path to asylum, barring anything, drastic there. The FBI director was asked during his press conference earlier today about possible red flags. He simply said there was not a lot of vetting that occurred during Operation Allies Welcome, and he continued back to this sort of political talking point that the Biden administration had allowed thousands of Afghan evacuees to enter into the country. But I think it is a very important question, Tom, that we need to continue pressing U.S. officials on, which is what, if anything, would have prevented the United States from allowing a man like this to enter into the country? And if the answer is nothing, then this could be a failure on the part of Homeland Security officials, not to prevent this individual from entering into the United States, but from providing him with the resources needing, or revisiting perhaps his asylum application, revisiting his person to determine whether or not he had been radicalized and become a threat to the United States and to law.
So that is what currently we know about the suspect, who is in the person of Rahmanullah. Currently he's in critical condition, and he entered into the States in September 2021, and he was granted an asylum earlier this year. And these are his charges. First, one count, first degree murder. One count, possession of a firearm, and 3 counts of assault with intention to kill. So these are the 3 counts, or even when you count them, it is like 4 counts, right? That the state has given him currently. But currently he's in critical condition in the hospital, just surrounded by the security guards around, so that he will not get opportunity to just escape. So that is where currently he is. And that is it for the suspect currently. Now, as you heard from Sarah from CBS, he made mention of the Trump administration making announcements. So this is it. He said the Trump administration has announced it will re-examine green cards issued to immigrants from 19 countries, a move that could affect thousands of residents. Officials say the review aims to ensure compliance with U.S. immigration rules. So when Trump 2.0, when Donald Trump came in, he initially gave a travel ban to about 19 countries, of which Afghanistan is part of it, and some of the Islamic countries. So now what he's saying is they are still coming back to re-examine and also review all the green card holders from these countries, so that if there's anything that went wrong during that time, they could take a look at it very well to make sure America is safe and again. But what really I don't understand is, why will someone just wake up, drive from Washington to the capital of the United States and just shot a gunman? So that is the big question we are still asking. We don't know. For now, investigations are still ongoing, and we are sure if FBI, CIA, and also the Attorney General Pambondi will also give us, maybe from tomorrow going, they will definitely give us an update on that, so that our viewers and also audience will be able to get to know what really is happening with regards to this case. So today, this is the update so far from the shooting incident that occurred yesterday. Today is Thanksgiving, but hey, we got a job to do, and this is the updates that we got for you today from the shooting incident. What we know now is one person is dead, who is in the person of Sarah Beckstrom, who's 20 years old, and he was just sworn in just 24 hours ago before she was on guard, and he was shot, or she was shot by Rahmanullah. And what we understand is the other guardman, Andrew Wolf, is in critical condition. So we pray that Almighty God help him so that he will be able to stand on his feet. We are praying that he also dies. No, we are praying that he regain conscious and also get a bit of strength. So he will just fight for the nation and also protect America as well. So that is the update for today. That is what we brought to you. Kind courtesy our partners from CBS and also our partners from ABC and various partners in the White House as well. So thank you for joining us today, and hopefully we will be back tomorrow for more of the updates during the day or the day. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Today is Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is also Thanksgiving, and tomorrow is Black Friday. We are praying everything goes well, and we will hopefully come again tomorrow to bring you some of the updates that we have around it. Thank you for joining, and see you tomorrow.